Hey, welcome to God's Glory and Men's Real Stories. I'm excited that you would join us today for another great episode. And to all those listening for the first time, thank you for joining us. I want you to know that your story and what you may be going through matter here. And you're not alone, so don't worry about what chapter you're in because God's still writing your story. So sit back with a community that cares about you and hopes that you feel God's love as well as see God's glory in Men's Real Stories. My special guest today is a brother whose journey has inspired me because no matter how many hats or identities he may put on, God continues to bring him home to who he created him to be. God had us both collide at an interesting intersection about a year ago, and I'm excited to hear about where God has him now. So I want to welcome my brother, previously known by many as the one and only, but now Juan Velazquez, to the episode.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here, Robert. And what an intro, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that, because the one and only, that person died. That person's gone. That personality is moved on. And I am Juan Velazquez.
Yeah.
I've realized coming through a journey the last 2 weeks that I had been posing my whole life. My whole life, a hustler.
Well, before you even start, why don't you introduce yourself of who you are
Sure.
right now before you jump into that? Because I can't wait to hear that.
So in terms of who I am and
Yes.
what I do, I'm married to a beautiful wife. We're going on 23 years together, Evelisa, and we have a beautiful son, John Andrew. Our story's really not that unusual from most other people. We have a small business that we're running, and we started it during COVID. So it's travel. Who would have thought, right? God had something else for me. God said, no, this is what your purpose is. This is what you were brought here to bring these magical moments, these extraordinary experiences to those who might not know they can afford them. And, and it builds on my philanthropic heart. We work hand in hand with many, many different organizations throughout the Charlotte region. One of which is the Haven Men's Shelter in Rock Hill.
Okay.
And that program, I've been newly elected on the board to serve side by side. They're amazing members who, have an opinion about non-toxic charity. And what that means is they give a hard knock approach to the individual that comes for help. And I like that, because that's something that I needed in my life, that, for so many years, people were just handing me over, bread basket after bread basket. And I saw it as a clutch or crutch, right? Mm-hmm. I wanted it to be something that was easy for me. My whole life, I didn't want to work hard for anything. So I kind of emulate that now on the opposite spectrum. I want to see it from others' eyes. I'll empathize with the individual that's asking for help. But now I understand what their true struggle is, because I've been struggling with it my whole life. And I still am. 100% a poser.
Okay. Well, you say you're 100% a poser, or you were a poser.
I guess you can say that you're always a poser. I think we continue being a poser even as we approach checking off that list. There's a numerous amount of different categories of being a poser.
There is.
And you lose one only to gain a new identity in one.
That's so true. Okay, I get what you're saying. Yes. Wow. Okay, you're right. So dive into that then.
Well, I'll tell you, so first let me precursor, right? You've had a previous guest, Dan Horner, and he's talked about Mission Uprising, Carolina Outposts. There is another outpost out there, the Indiana Outposts. And about a year ago or so, or maybe less than that, a gentleman by the name of Mac Leaves came up to me and he said, "Hey man, we've been doing the same outpost for several years." And that was the first conversation I had with him. And he said, "I want you to come up to Indiana." And I laughed it off and I said, "Sure, I'm going to make that drive." Yeah, okay.
Right.
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 You kind of give that nod and you're being nice, but the Holy Spirit had something else for me, man. I wasn't prepared. I felt it. I was like, whoa, what is that? As I got in my Jeep and I drove away from camp in the Carolina outposts, putting on my Dave Matthews, thinking everything's okay.
Right.
Huge poser right there, right? But it really resonated with me, and it drove deep into everything I was doing throughout that summer. As the fall outpost was approaching for the Carolinas, I really hadn't even registered for Indiana. He had kept on texting me saying, hey, man, are you going to come? Or, I don't see you on the list. And I'm kind of like, man, it's not about the money. And then God,
right.
God had other things planned for me, right? He intersected, and he made things a little bit more difficult. And then the enemy attacked, and I said, all right, this is why I need to go up there. So I made it a little bit of an adventure. Then I got excited about it. But what I didn't know was that I was going to unveil the fact that the one and only was an act my whole life. Seriously. My whole life, I had been putting on a performance for others.
Okay.
Paul McDonald said, he said to me, in not so many of these words, because there were some very unnice words that we can't use.
Right. I prefer not to use.
Yeah. He said, man, Juan, you need to be the man God called you to be and cut this other stuff out. Mm-hmm. And, it was really difficult to hear that, especially from someone that I admire.
Right.
Because it was something that I needed, but something that I wasn't prepared for.
Okay, so hold on. So let's jump back a little bit and talk about. You just said it was something that you needed. It was a performance that you put on that you felt like. I'll let you tell me. Where did it come from? Do you know why? Because you said that it made you feel comfortable. It made you feel like.
Absolutely, I was an individual. I grew up in Newark, New Jersey. I grew up in the bricks. I grew up in a real hardcore situation where a hustler's life was the life, right?
Yeah.
There was no, you're going off to college, or you're going to become a successful trade in plumbing or whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. It was all about, well, hey, you just got to go get a job so that you can support your family. And to me, that was not attractive. I liked what the guys on the corner were doing.
Right.
My brother was there, and, I had other friends that were doing it. And I was like, I want to do that. I want a piece of the pie. They were all dressed nice. They got the boom box. They got, well, for people who don't know boom box, but they had the boom box. They had the, the Pumas.
Right. I know exactly what you're right. It looked very attractive.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
I feel you.
This was before Biggie said, remember rapping, dude, the hot. No, I had the act.
Right.
And, but I was always this awkward, chubby kid who didn't fit in, but knew all the moves. I knew all the players, and I wanted to emulate the wrong people. And slowly but surely, as I grew older, I recognized that I had already been consumed by this lifestyle. And when I moved on from that environment, I didn't know how to remove myself mentally from that environment.
Right.
And I struggle with that. I still struggle with that, living in Fort Mill, South Carolina. I mean, come on.
It's a long jump.
That's like from here to here, right? Come on.
That's huge. Yeah.
But that act didn't leave me, and it was purposefully. I did it intentionally because I needed affirmation from the wrong people. I walked into rooms, and I knew that people said, oh, this is the guy you want to talk to. This is the guy who's making the party happen. But when that lifestyle ended, how did I continue that with people who were not part of that same environment that I knew?
Right.
So I continued that act, the one and only. It was my way, my in, to satisfy that need that was empty inside me. My whole life I've been a loner, even though I've had many friends. I've been a loner. I've been alone. Never once thinking, hey, this is what God called me to be. No, never once. I grew up in a household that surely my mom, as much as she tried to instill religion in us, no. They put us in Catholic school. I think I was one of the only ones who survived up to 8th grade until I was kicked out of school.
Right.
And I was shipped off to California to live with my sister and her husband, like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, only Burbank.
Right.
And it was it was shocking coming from Indiana. Now I'll digress back to Indiana. So going to Indiana, I recognized that all those parts of my life were a performance. I never knew what it was not like to perform for people. I needed to feel like I was the center of everything. And the fact that I would be unveiled and seen for the fraud that I am, it scared me. But there was a moment with Matt where we were talking in Indiana. And it was a moment that was genuine and soulful. But the conversation was revolving around a scene in Les Mis and the opportunity to uncover your veil and be the man that God called you to be requires you to have a new name. And you might say, well, wait a minute, Juan. You were born Juan Velazquez. Sure. But the world that I was living of and not in, I was the one and only.
Right.
So I was putting on an act for the world because I thought I was of the world. I'm in the world. Just like you are in the world, we're in the world. You know, Jesus came into this world for us. I came into this world because God brought me into this world.
Right.
Now I have to figure out what else is that purpose. What has God put forth to me to say, all right, now that you've uncovered your pose, what's next? Are you going to continue? Or you obviously it's like an onion, right? You keep on peeling.
Right. It's like the beginning of a journey. Like, okay, so like I've gotten this far and you're telling me there's more journey to go on.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I struggle with that continuously now. But up there in Indiana, it was where I realized that, hey, I don't have to walk around with a passport that says I'm a criminal. I'm someone who tried to take their life. I'm someone who is addicted to different vices or pornographic material, right? The things that we're all afraid to talk about.
Right.
Right. And in looking at all those things and coming true to myself, it was a self-baptism. It was almost a revelation of sorts to say, yeah, you know what? You're going to walk this path. You're going to be a trail guide leader in these programs. You're going to be part of this board. You're going to be part of a community as a business owner. Then you better start walking spiritually and start recognizing that all those other things are not you. Those are things that the enemy put upon you so that you can believe. I wanted to be those things because it was the easy way out.
Right. Plus, it was also very like your flesh was attracted to it, as you said previously.
Right.
Like it seemed what everybody else was attracted to. That was flashy. And somebody recently said that it's almost like the apple that our enemy, that Satan tempted Eve with, and that it wasn't an ugly apple. It wasn't an apple that had worms crawling through it. No, it was very attractive to her. And so we're attracted to the looks, to the culture, to the things of this world, because our flesh always craves for it, which is why it's an ongoing battle to constantly say, okay, just because my flesh wants it doesn't mean that I'm supposed to have that, which creates that day-to-day struggle. And I'm sure you're about to hit on that, because that day-to-day struggle is like waking up every day fighting with yourself. I want this, but I need to have the self-control to say that's not what's really for me. Right. That's not really who I am.
Yeah, we all wake up every day and we emulate the things we see in magazines or movies or personalities we find on social media. Oh, I like that influencer. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go get a haircut today. Maybe I'll get my fade looking like, I don't know, Jay-Z today or something, right?
Right.
But we don't realize that we're not being ourselves. You know, how do you like to see yourself? First, you have to talk to God and realize, who did God make you to be? Right? Then you can put on this sweater. You know, I'm pretty sure that this sweater was influenced somewhere down the line from something that I saw. The hat, the look, everything.
Right.
You know? So I came intentionally. I'll let the viewers know. I usually wear a full beard. You know always.
Right.
But that's a pose. For me, that's a pose.
So why is that?
Because you're hiding your truth. And we as men, we often use a beard to hide ourselves from our guilt, from our shame. I was doing that to myself.
I feel convicted right now, man. As I sit over here with the beard. Why would you say this?
I mean, I sincerely don't want you to shave your beard, but
no, I sincerely am not. I'm sincerely not going to. I don't feel like I'm hiding anything. But no, I get what you're saying. Okay, but would you say? Because as I sit here and listen, this thought keeps running through my head of that. There was a point though where the person you initially came into this world as, you didn't like that person.
Absolutely.
You weren't attracted to that person. You were not in love with that person.
No.
So you wanted to cover up that person with just whatever was attractive, that not only you felt was appealing, but also others felt was appealing.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the more and more I saw other men succeed through other avenues that were less likely godly, I thought, well, that was good. I mean, I went to church when I got here in 2015. I hadn't been to a non-denominational church. I didn't know what that looked like. Mm-hmm. My wife, on the other hand, she grew up in a very legalistic environment and with very loving parents, but she was done with church too. But I had never seen the insights of a church like that. Rock and roll music, Christian music, and, praise hands and all that stuff.
Right. Now, what church was this?
This was at Elevation in Blakeney, at the Blakeney campus.
By the way, did you sidetrack real quick? Did you know that Elevation is actually categorized as Southern Baptist?
I did not.
I didn't either.
I did not.
I found that out not too long ago. Like I think this past year, and I was like, I thought that was non-denominational.
It does make sense though, because being Pastor Furtick being from Monk's Corner and coming from a Baptist Baptist.
There it is. So, that's how I put it together too.
So that resonates, and I can see the way his message comes across too, how it could be more in line with that denomination for sure. But I went in there. First of all, I cut like 100 people in line. I didn't know, I thought it was like Catholic church, like move out the way. Come on, I'm coming in, grab the door, you come in, you grab a chair. No, there was reserved seats here. I sat in someone else's seat, and, there was a guy who told me, who I'm still friends with, Tad, he was like, man, you just cut me in line. And then he was just teasing me. He was like, no, you're with me. He was by himself. I was by myself. So the whole experience brought me to understand that there were other levels, right? Other levels of posing that I was unaware of. I fell in love with the fact that church was going to be part of my life. It brought me a sense of purpose, right? Mm-hmm. The men there, I started to feel attracted to that image. I wanted to be like them. They had the perfect wives, the perfect lives, the perfect kids, the perfect dog. They all had big pickup trucks, Everybody talked with an accent, which I'm slowly developing. Apparently, someone said, hey, what happened to your Jersey accent? And I'm like, I don't know. But anyway, I really went from liking what I saw in the streets and then liking what I saw at church. But what I wasn't ready for was the disappointment that was brought from both situations. I was disappointed, obviously, knowing that I was in that hustler that I was trying to be. But I was also disappointed with knowing that I didn't feel like I was good enough to be like those men at church. I didn't fit in their conversations. I was the only one, the only odd man out, in my opinion, right? I always saw myself outside of the realm of where they were at. They were this high elevated in careers and in family life and in spirituality. Maybe they can quote 10 Bible verses, whereas I'm like, man, I just know John 3:16.
right. Isn't that enough? For God so loved the world. Like, isn't that what it? Yeah.
And so I felt out of place, and I felt again intimidated. So I knew that I had to put on an act. I felt like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to be that player, and I'm going to come in there and I'm like, what's up? You know,
right.
One and only's here.
Right. No, that makes sense.
And what I didn't realize was people were not drawn to that at church. They were not drawn to that type of personality. So slowly I started becoming secluded and alone and lost and unsure, you know, and I started having thoughts of rage in my head that I wasn't good enough for anything. What was I doing with my life? Was I even good to be in a marriage that was falling apart at the time? And I thought about all these things, and that's when I first thought, well, you know, I'll check out. You know, I'll take it. That's it. I'm done. I didn't try it once. I tried it twice. And prior to that, I had tried it before. And it was a situation that going up to Indiana, I realized that that pose was the detriment to who God called me to be. That inspirational leader that people say, oh man, Juan, when you come up to the outpost, we really love it. Okay, great. I feel it. I hear it, but I'm not living it. You know, when guys tell me, hey, Juan, you know, you told me something so impactful. And I'm like, man, I can't remember what I said. I feel so bad. Or, man, I can't even remember your name. Because the enemy has me so consumed in my brain that I can't even remember. I block things out. I intentionally take things and I put them in a little box. And I've been living my life as, you know, you ever see a hermit crab?
Yeah.
Right? They're so cool at first, right? You love them. You know, I feel like a hermit crab. You're like, oh, look at that cute little hermit crab. And then it goes to high. You're like, where is it? All right, well, I don't see it.
Right.
It's okay. He's there. So I felt like that. I felt like that most of my life living here in the South. That hermit crab that people liked at first. And then I went into my shell and they're like, oh, he's there somewhere. But really didn't come by to whisper or say anything. Especially in 2017 when I ended up locked up. I had everything going for me. I had everything going for me. I thought I left all that in the past.
Right.
But then it happened. I got sideways at a place in Florida. They say you go to Florida on vacation, you come back on probation. But
never heard that. That is my first time hearing that. I have avoided that, but I can see how I definitely could have been on probation. I can see that.
Yeah. So, and we can laugh about it now. My wife and I, you know, we've reconciled on that part too, but it was something that broke her heart, broke my heart, you know, being thought of as a criminal for eventually something that I didn't do, which was amazing because I was too drunk to remember anything. Allegedly, I had a road rage incident with an individual that I brandished a weapon and attempted to fire the weapon at. And, you know, next thing you know, they said I was surrounded by cops at a Walmart and arrested. And this was all on Father's Day weekend. My son, nobody knew where I was. I was gone. My wife was nervous, panicked, calling hospitals. Couldn't find me. I was never processed until the weekend after. It was a nightmarish situation. But ultimately, what came out of it is I had God on my side. I didn't realize it. But, you know, that situation should have woken anyone else up, right? All right, now you can get rid of that pose.
You would think so, and you're right. For most people, some people, you're like, okay, that would have woken us up. That would have like helped me realize, like, yo, this is not beneficial to me.
Absolutely,
I recognized it. As simple as that sounds, like, wow, I would have changed. Then most of us have been through that, and that was almost like, yeah, I just laughed that off. You know, it was an incident it didn't even happen the way it really happened. It wasn't even my fault. So you know what? That wasn't really a call. That was more of a mistake on somebody else's behalf. So I'm going to brush this one off and get back to living the life I've been living, because it didn't break me enough. it didn't allow me to step back and see myself. It just allowed me to step back and see the mistake that everybody else made.
Right.
So we end up just pointing fingers at everybody else, like, well, you were wrong because I never should have been here. And so instead of like seeing ourselves as the common denominator, we look at everybody else as the culprit. And you guys were wrong. I should have never been processed. I should have never been here. Shame on you. Right. And so a lot of us just, we point. There's no accountability in it. Like, okay, what even got me here? Like, granted, maybe this is not who I am and this is not what I did, but what even got me in this situation? That's not that important. Let's focus on what everybody else did wrong. And yeah, it creates a distance from that space of, and I finally flipped the switch and realized I've been living the wrong life. This is not healthy. But no, a lot of times it's easier to point the finger at everybody else and say, that wasn't even me. That's not my fault. So we continue to live out of that identity that we have that continues to take us down past where guys like, okay, well, I gave him an exit ramp, but clearly he wanted to keep going. And it's almost like he's consistently playing Siri. Hey, okay, all right, I'm giving you another exit ramp. And he kept going. Right. And he keeps trying to reroute us. But we don't ever see it as a route for us. We almost see it as a blame for others. Like, shame on y'all. You made me this way. I'm like this because of you. I should have never been here. I should have never been like. And so it's just you. And it's never like, when am I going to stop blaming everybody else?
Right. And it's so true because I still do it now. I still catch myself with other things. But you're right. At first, I wanted to put the blame on everyone, and that's exactly what I did. I didn't put myself accountable now in retrospect, looking back. Hey, man, you went to a brewery and had 4 ounces of 42 different types of beers. Think about that. Any other normal person would have been in a hospital. Mm-hmm. But God let you go through that situation for a purpose, and you didn't recognize it then, but I wasn't supposed to. I don't believe so, because I was still wrestling with that identity crisis at church, thinking I wasn't good enough for church. And then I tried to hustle my way through church. Are you kidding me? I said, oh, man, there's another opportunity for me, right?
How's that look?
Man, I was like, I'm going to get involved in everything. I even started a nonprofit, which was highly successful and helped out hundreds, maybe even thousands of individuals in the greater Charlotte area. But I saw myself being such a poser. It was all about me. It wasn't about the nonprofit. It was about me trying to develop that image that I so needed. And again, the one and only came out.
Right.
And he saw the opportunity to get into my psyche and say, yeah, man, you got this one.
Look at you. They're all looking up to you now. Man, you're the guy now. Exactly where you wanted to be.
It was so cool.
Yeah. Like, go home and you get yourself like, swag. Check me out. I'm that guy. I am. Yes, I definitely understand what you're saying.
But then you start realizing, man, that's all BS. You're full of yourself. And then you start coming back to reality. But I've been doing that my whole life because I even recognize as a small business owner now, owning cruise planners. I do that with my clients sometimes. Like, oh, you didn't read your email that I sent you? That's your fault. No, maybe it was my fault. Maybe I wasn't as intentional as I should have been. Maybe I should have been more deliberate and seen things through their lens and more perspective on my part. Right?
That's everything right there.
And then the other thing was I was running my business without a godly world. I didn't have God inside the presence of my business. And I think that's so important for all of us as Christians. As we're walking that path, everything has to align. And I had, I said, no, this is separate. But it isn't.
But I think the part that we miss though is, and I continue to quote Travis Green on this, in that he said that, oh, you thought God opened doors for you? No, he didn't open doors for you. He opens doors for himself.
Yeah.
Because he knows that when he's in you, that he gets to show up at the tables.
Yes.
He gets to show up in different settings. He gets to show up in different decisions. He knows that he's going to speak through you. But sometimes when you look at things like, oh, I'm just that guy, that's why that door opened. You walk in and you leave him outside the door. and you walk in and you think that, oh man, it was my charisma that got me here.
Right.
It was my, it was my bravo that just people saw it. They saw what I bring to the table,
Right.
and they invited me in. And you're like, you missed the whole point of like, dude, listen to me. You're good because of God.
Correct.
God makes you perfect. You are an imperfect human who continues to seek him for your strength, for open doors, for blessings, to turn around and be a blessing to others. But it's through him. It's not through you. So when we walk through doors and we leave him outside the door,
right.
It's almost like he's sitting on the outside like, okay, so you're going to do this without me. All right. Okay. All right. Well, see, this is how this plays out. Knowing that he was supposed to be sitting right there at that table,
right,
in you, to speak, to bring forth righteousness. And a perspective of love when people say, well, I think that if we cut corners, we can all pocket a lot of money.
Right.
And it's like, oh yeah, that's it. And it's like, and then there's when God sits there and you're like, that sounds, all right, guys, get ready, because I just got convicted, so everybody gets to get convicted now. That's wrong. We can't do that. That's not right. It's not righteous. It's not who we are.
Right.
Our values say we align with honoring God in all we do. Our values say that we allow our light to be able to shine into others. But right now, as we sit here and we consider this, we're slowly putting our light out. We're slowly allowing ourselves to just kind of like lose track of what God wanted to do through us for our own personal
right.
gain.
Right.
And we've all been guilty of that.
Absolutely.
I'm definitely one to say I've been guilty of that. And like you said earlier, the poses that we put on, I struggle with like fighting that off regularly. Yeah. As this platform grows, I realize like, oh wow, look at the growth, look at all the and then all of a sudden it's like, yo, that's not, but you didn't do that.
Correct.
You didn't do that. Like pump your brakes. Like you don't allow what you see in growth and how this platform and different things are growing make you believe that that's all you. Right. That you made that happen. And so it's humbling when you can sit back and just like, I needed that check. I needed to be humbled, and not in a way to break me, but to remind me that it's because of God, right, who I have invited in my life, who I decided I'm going to go on a journey with and have a relationship with, that's going to impact how things go going forward. And so, even when I told you before we started the podcast, I said, hey, look, I'm just the host, dude. He's the producer. And so when he says, hey, look, ask this, or when he says, do this, I'm okay, God, I'm just listening to the producer, because I don't come with a scripted preparation for these episodes. I just let him speak through us.
And there's one more layer to all of it, because surely I uncovered something through the business that I felt was missing, right? And now introducing God, I feel this weight off my shoulders that, that word transparency is authentic. It's no longer, all right, well, this is a portion of Juan Velazquez that you're going to get. Now they get to see all of it. Now they get to see and experience what I was meant to be doing, was really bringing people, families together. I don't know what's going on in people's lives. They want to do a group, a vacation, but I don't know how many of those family members don't talk to each other or have had instances. My job here is to make sure that I curate something that God has proposed to me that is going to bring that family closer and build memories that are lifelong, and conversations that are going to build spiritual bonds, right?
Wow, I love that.
So, I start recognizing this, and my wife starts recognizing this. And last night was date night. We do date night on Fridays. So first I took my son axe throwing, which he had a blast. That's one of his favorite things to do. But then we went out and we met a friend who happened to come by, and he's a little bit, he's a little bit further out from God than, but I try to stick to people like that. A lot of people don't, but my path is, I love that. You know what? I think this guy needs some loving, and he needs to see that I'm just like him. And the only element that's missing in his life is God, right?
Yeah.
So he says to me, man, you're different. And before I can even say anything, my wife jumped in and she says, yeah, he sure is. He's come back more energized than ever. He is a new man. And it resonated with me that everything that happened between Carolina Outpost and Indiana Outpost really was substantial, not just for me, but for my marriage through God. You know, we feel so safe, right? We get complacent in our way, especially with our spouses. And, you know I can, you know, and
yeah, no, definitely here. Yeah.
And when you think you're safe, you don't realize that, no, you know, you need to be more assertive with your beliefs. And that's something that she said last night. She says, no, he's really coming to terms with the man who he is and a man through God's lens. And it was just so impactful to me because we came from an environment growing up, me, where the word love was not introduced into the vocabulary. There was no, hey, I love you, have a great day. No. Even till this day, I struggle with saying that to others and to my son, to my wife, just in a very candid way.
Okay, so we definitely came from the same environment. And I totally resonate with that so much because you're right. When it wasn't something that you heard, when it wasn't something that you were told, and more importantly, when it wasn't something that you realized was bigger than just how they feel in the moment, then it was something that you never even offered yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know this probably will not resonate well with a lot of my siblings, but the truth is that we were not taught this. And my parents are absolutely loving individuals. All right. They're still around. But the bottom line is that I don't think they had it. And it was kind of a generational thing. But not just that, but there was no spiritual bond holding us together. There was no prayer at the table. There was no, nothing that brought God into the equation other than, you know what, go to that school. They'll show you the Bible. They'll show you who God is. Not really.
Right.
Not really.
Right.
And
but it starts at home, though. I mean,
right.
it's you can't expect me to be enthusiastic about this when you don't even see the real need for it. You're just wanting somebody to take care of me and babysit me by sending me somewhere where it seems like a better life for me than the one you may have.
Absolutely.
You like, because I really now understand, as I am trying to be the man God called me to be, that I can't expect my kids, my family to see the importance of following God if I haven't put him at the center of my attention. If I haven't put him at you know what? Let me go get the orders from him. I'll get back to you. It's almost like it's an org chart of like, he starts at the beginning of everything. And if I haven't put him at the top of everything, if I haven't sought him in everything, if I haven't followed his lead, then I'm expecting you guys to follow me. And who are you following?
Right.
Nobody? Yourself? Okay. Your pose that you've been living out of based on, your hurt and your wounds. Now that I fully understand it so well, it's like, dude, I'm following a wounded guy right now.
Right.
Because that's really what they were following. They were following a wounded guy, a guy that may not have recognized my wounds, but was living out of them and all the patterns that came along with it. And so because of that, you guys, hey, good luck, man. This is a crazy ride for me. I can only imagine how crazy it's going to be for you. So, yeah, tell me more about like just what happened.
It was something that was continuous, because when I went to live out my life, my rest of my teenage years in California with my sister, she didn't have that also. So there was no love and definitely far, far from church. And so I was lost in a space of, earthly bounds. And I wanted to be like the individuals in movies. I wanted to be like the individuals on the street corners. I wanted to be like everything other than what I saw myself in the mirror. I was disgusted with it. I didn't love that individual. I didn't know what the word meant. I even had allegedly fallen in love with a teenage girl in California. I didn't know what love was. That was a lie. And
Would you say it was more of like, I find you very attractive and then what you bring to my life? So it's almost like a lustful feeling of like,
absolutely.
Lust is driving me and oh, we call it love. Okay. Love. Cool. I guess lust doesn't sound good. We'll go with love. We'll go with love instead of lust. Because it's nobody wants to hear,
right?
I lust you so much.
Right. It just doesn't resonate, right? It's just,
yeah, you are. I mean, I am so lustful for you.
I mean, the only thing that I want to be talking lustful for is probably like a sundae ice cream, an ice cream sundae, like, wow.
Right. I really want that. Yeah, I don't necessarily need it, but like, my flesh is calling me to you. But that's what a lot of us do. A lot of us who don't understand like how love truly is, how God wants us to love, how it's not just a feeling like, ooh, and all of a sudden I had butterflies and I knew I was in love. It's like, come on, like that's not what love is. That's how the world has made you believe love is. So what they've taught you is that love is a feeling, and as long as the butterflies are there, you're in love. The second the butterflies just fly off, now you're just like, you've fallen out of love with this person because the butterflies are no longer there. So love then is no longer there, and they miss the whole understanding of like, okay, imagine the first time you sin. Imagine if the butterflies left God and he was just like, yep, no longer in love with you. Next person. Then there would never be a pursuit from him to say, I'm going to get my son. Yeah, but what about everybody else who's in love with you, God? Yeah, but I got to go get my son though. Like I'll leave them to go get him. They'll be okay.
Right.
But it's in going to get him, he shows us how to love in a manner that it's like, wow. So like I had written you off, dude. I had turned from you. I had cursed you. I didn't see a life with you, but you still continue to pursue me. Right. Okay. What level of love is this? Because this is a level that I've never actually witnessed. Normally love ends at the point where I no longer am feeling you, but you continue to push past what I looked at as love to say, I'll show you what love is. Yeah. Love is where I continue to pursue you. I continue to say, you know what? It's okay. I'm going to brush you off. You made a mistake and you're sorrowful for it. And you repented for that. Right. And I love you. And the truth of the matter is even if you didn't repent, I still loved you. Right. Even if you still didn't see the importance or see that it was something that you needed to turn away from, I still love you. It never changed. And to never experience that level of love growing up, being in my 20s, 30s, it was just like, well, I'm working out of the love that I know. And this is what I grew up looking like. This is how it looked when I grew up. I didn't see anything different. And so it's very shallow. It's very lustful.
It is. I went my whole life competing with my siblings for love. What I thought was love. It was the attention from my parents. They were so consumed with their careers and, raising this big family that we had that I'm almost building excuses here, but I felt like, I had to compete with them. I didn't live up to, the same expectations as my brother or sisters or anyone else in my family. I always looked like, all right, I have to live up to their expectations so that mom and dad could see me. Mm-hmm. Even till this day, I struggle with that. Like, hey, guys, look at me. I run a business. I did it. I moved on out like George and Wheezy. I'm living in the East Side. Come on. Right. But instead, I'll get, hey, how's everything doing? And everything's doing well. And, all right, keep us posted, or the occasional call. And that's great. But, I realize that all those things are important. But for me, I kept on blaming other people here. I'm using them and I'm blaming everyone else here. Right? We're still pointing the game, doing this. Right. Well, it's your fault you didn't love me. It's your fault you didn't say it. Well, no. Maybe it's my turn to be more intentional and hear God whisper to me and say, hey, Juan Velazquez, I love you. And that's what I heard in Indiana. I feel that in my heart. I thought I did. I thought walking into a church made it, I thought being baptized was like, yeah, I'm a Christian. Yeah. I have the coat of armor. Yeah. No bad nothing can hurt me now. Right.
Right.
But boy, was that a pose. It's now that I realize that, wow, I really feel God's love and presence. I mean, I came back from Indiana saying, I can't wait to get home, but I was tired.
Right.
But it was just so amazing that, I mean, even driving over here, I stopped over at Starbucks and I had me an encounter where this guy, he I don't know what was going on with his vehicle, but at one point he ran off. I'm sure he was texting or something. And it so happened we were going to the same place. So I pull up to the parking lot where he's at and I say, "Hey man, you okay?" And I think he almost thought that I was looking for an argument. Mm-hmm. And he looked at me with this stern look. And then he goes, "What did you say?" I said, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm just going through a really tough situation right now. Thank you." And I said, "Do you need me to pray for you?" And he looked at me like, "Who is this person?"
Right.
And then he just literally pulled up his window and he drove off. So I prayed for him.
Right.
I don't know who it was. I just
Right.
prayed for him.
Right.
Because he was going through something. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. So I believe in these intersections that we're going through in life right now. I really believe wholeheartedly that I was given this potential beyond what I could see. I don't have to be pretending to have people want to like me or need to see me at an event. No, I just want to be in the presence of God and let him lead me now. That's it.
Good.
That's it. I don't want to do nothing else.
And it's crazy how he'll lead you to versions of maybe you in your past. Almost like when you pulled up to that guy where he was going through something just like you may have been going through. Where you wish somebody would have said, "Hey, are you okay?
Yeah.
Hey, can I pray with you?" And whether you were in a place to want to receive the prayer or actually be prayed for, there was somebody at one moment that saw you and actually cared.
Right.
Even when you felt like you were all alone. And think about how often we needed that, just for somebody to see us for a second, for a split second, to see past the filter we put on, to see past the pose we put on, and to love me for the person that I don't even know if I can love. The person who God created me to be, who is so far in there and buried up underneath all the stuff we put on top of ourselves to look good and to be attracted to others. Even like the guys that you said you met in church that just seemed like they were so perfect and they had everything right. And after you did everything they did, you're like, okay, the air still don't feel that great up here. I still don't feel as perfect as they put on. And you realize like, yo, you know what? If I'm living just like these guys, imagine how many of these guys, if they had just for the second put down their pose just to be like, "Hey, bro, I'm struggling over here. I'm really, hey, look, you know what? My wife, she hates me right now. My kids hate me. And even the dog hates me, bro. And I never thought that would ever be a thing. But like, I'm really struggling. But hey, hold on. Here come some people. Hey, man, everything's great in life, man. God is so good, man. Isn't he a blessing, man? Look, let's just, hey, brother, I'm going to keep praying for you. And life's going to be great. And maybe one day you'll achieve this perfection that I have here. But you for a second, you heard the cry behind like the pose that was up to look perfect to you. But behind every man, there are struggles that they may not feel like talking about.
Absolutely.
And so it gives the look of perfection instead of a look of like, "Hey, bro, I'm just like you. You're struggling. I'm struggling."
We feel that, that we're going to be rejected. And we don't need to feel that. I no longer feel that I'm going to be rejected because God's going to always be there. He's not going to reject me.
And he's enough.
Right. For so many years, I thought God was rejecting me.
Yeah.
He had said, "Nope, we're putting you right here, bro. You're good. All right. Just whatever you want to do. This is your little bubble. This is your flat earth, right? If you want to believe in that, right? There you go.
Right.
But no, what I didn't realize that he's so presentful and intentional and he loves us so much. And I've actually, and this is going to sound weird to a lot of people who are not followers, right? Because I truly believe I'm a follower of Christ, right? I had this intentional feeling that I always told people, and it's something that I heard it constantly at Carolina Outpost. So we're followers, right? We're followers. That's the true purpose of our calling. But I really felt it this time. And it was just so amazing because I was just so uplifted. I mean, there was a noise in my car as I'm driving back. It didn't bother me. I'm like, whatever, God's got this.
Right.
I'm like, oh wait, there's another Buc-ee's. I gotta stop there. Forget the noise in my car, right? That's
Gotta
how I
love
feel.
that moment when like you just realize that like I don't care what's going on, how crazy it may look. I don't care. Like yeah, that looks like that could slow me down. That could, but
Yeah.
you know what though? I know that I can trust him in spite of it all. Like yeah, but he's gonna get me home.
Right.
Because what he did in me this weekend, what he did in me these past 2 weekends, it's going to change others' lives. He's got me on a mission now. I'm on an assignment. I'm just like Paul.
Right.
That I have places to get. And yeah, there may be people who want to hold me up. There may be car trouble that may want us to keep. But what he's put me on an assignment for is for moments like these,
Right.
where you sit down at this table and say, you know what? I can recognize that where I've come from and where I'm going, I'm a completely different man stepping in a completely different river, because the river hasn't changed.
Right.
But I'm a different man now. And there's never as they say, there's never how does the saying go? No man ever steps through the same river as the same man. Something of the same. I just made that up. But
it does resonate with
I
me.
can hear Gleaves like right now, like he ruined that. But the truth is that it's true. No matter how many times you may have crossed the same paths that you've been through, as we continue to grow, as God continues to work and continue to prune us,
Right.
we step back through that same setting,
Right.
maybe amongst the same people, as a different man, as a man who's grown from who I was and the things I did and the things that were attractive to you guys,
Right.
to recognize I'm not here necessarily to attract you guys by myself.
Right.
I'm here to attract you to the light that God has placed in me now. Yes, I'm a different person, not because I put on fresh deodorant and new scent and some cool clothes, but I'm a different person because what you're experiencing now is a God who lives in me, who allows me to be able to live and move and speak and act in a way that's righteous, that's uplifting, that seems almost perfect. But then in all of that, I can say, and I still fall short.
That's
I'm
right.
still not perfect.
That's right.
I still struggle and have times where me and my wife, we butt heads and
Right.
we're working through things. I'm still striving to be a better father, man. Like this father thing, as they get older, it gets harder. But you recognize that, but with God though, there's nothing he can't do through me.
Right.
But when I try to do this on my own, man, listen to me. All I can do is put up a front as if I'm doing
That's
a
right.
perfect job.
That's right. But and that's really what resonates with me with Mission Uprising and the Carolina Outpost and Indiana Outpost, is that for the misconception that so many men at church especially would have, well, I'm not good enough for that. That's exactly why you should be coming.
Yeah.
And but I'll tell you one last story.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, and this comes as full circle, because when I went in, I think it was 2015. I'm going to say 2015. I'm sticking with that story until Dan Horner tells me otherwise. And I went to Outpost. It felt like, all right, here we go again. I want to be like these guys. No, dude, you got the wrong message. We talk about what message we should get, and what crucial motives present to us for being that individual that we're trying to pose as. And I saw yet a new pose. I was like, yeah, I want to dress like these guys. I want to fish like these guys. I want to smoke cigars like these guys. I want to shoot guns like these guys. Let's do it. Let's go rah rah. Yeah, man. Just go out there and be yourself. That's what people were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
But I was putting out in front. Trail guide, putting on a front. And don't get me wrong, though. I believe the Holy Spirit worked through me and with me to, I think we changed hundreds of lives throughout the years. But I don't feel that same individual is present anymore. And as much as I've helped individuals, I think God has presented me with an elevated form of thinking coming out of Indiana to recognize, all right, You get it now. You understand that your purpose is not to be the one and only, the player, the pretend to be anything that you're not. Just go out there and be loved and love.
Yeah. And the truth is I think we don't say it enough that you're wanting to be like me, but I'm wanting to be like Jesus.
Right.
So instead of like making me the middleman, why don't you just look to him and be more like him and realize that we're both now on a journey to be more like him, to continue to be pruned, to continue to be sanctified, to daily seek a better direction, a perspective that allows us to be more righteous in our living. And in that, eventually people start to look to you and say, okay, wait a minute, I want to be more like him.
Yeah.
And you can say, man, look, listen to me. Don't be like me. Be like him, because I'm striving to be like him.
And that's ditto. All right. So thanks for taking my closing line, but
I don't normally do that. Is that what you were going to say? All right, we'll cut that. We'll let.
No, that was great, because you know that there's a greater being in control here, right? Because he senses where we're both at. But that was a reminder. I've taken so many road trips, right? But there was a billboard that we saw somewhere in Mississippi. My son and I and my nephew, we were doing a road trip from the Carolinas all the way out to Texas, and the came back through the bayou. And it said, "Don't be like me, be more like him," with capital letters, him. It didn't resonate to me. I'm like, wow, what a dumb billboard. Who's him? And who's me, right?
Confusing.
I'm like, who's going to get that? Who paid for that? Wow, what a poser. But it's so true. It's just like, all right, as much as you see those individuals, once you get to that level where you are involved with individuals that you admire, it's okay to admire people. It really is. Mm-hmm. It's genuine. It shows that you love them, right? Like, I admire my wife. She is amazing. She is my goddess. She is someone who I speak of highly, always. Mm-hmm. And but what I need to recognize is in order for me to love her the way she needs to be loved, I need to love that man, Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The one I profess to. Otherwise, what's it for?
Well, or more importantly, otherwise, you've now made your wife the idol. You now worship her. You've now put her on the throne that he belongs to. And it's almost like, I went to go get some water and you let her sit down in my seat. I can't believe you.
Right.
You are something. And that's how I always see it. I always see it like whenever I try to like switch out like who's sitting on the throne of my heart. And it's almost like I put certain things. I got to sit there and be like, you're right, God, I'm sorry. I somehow or another, you got up to really go and grab something to drink, and I let him sit down, and it's like, so it's a checking moment of saying, in order to love you the way you need to be loved, as you were about to say. Oh, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
No. You okay? You're on.
And in order to love her the way she needs to be loved, I have to put him first,
right, and
experience the love that he has for me. I then have to love myself the way he loves me. And then, as you pour onto me, I now get to pour all this extra onto you. Yeah. Like you experience the love that I'm feeling from him because I love myself now. I love Juan Velazquez.
That's right.
Not the one and only.
Nope.
I've had to let him go.
Yes.
I love me, the person who back then I used to look in the mirror and be like, dude, like you are so whack. Nobody will ever. I mean, these are the things I used to say to myself. You are so whack. You are so weak. Man, listen to me. Nobody's ever going to take you serious. Nobody's ever going to love you.
Right.
You're not even worthy of it. Mm-hmm. Man, look, you dude, if this is how you're going to continue to live, you might as well call it quits now. And I agreed with all those lies. Right. We agree with them. Right. And so what do we do? All right. Who? Let me find a new role model. Him.
Right.
I'm taking on his persona. I'm going to do the best impersonation of him. And I'm going to try it on. Oh, they like it. They like it. They like it. And the next thing you know, I'm him. And as long as I have an audience, but after a while, the problem is that we're not fulfilled with life. Right. We're living out of this person. And we're just like, and then it becomes very like it's hard to play a character 24/7. As I said to somebody one time, it's like having an acting job and nobody ever yells cut. So you got to keep playing this role of this guy, and it gets strong. It's like, right?
Wow.
You see that? You can't unsee that. Like they never yell cut, and it's like, and so it's like we get so tiring playing this character, and it's like, yo, this sucks, man. And eventually you come to the end of that character, and you're like, bro, I can't get up and play him today. Yeah. Man. I can't get up and play him today. It takes too much energy to not live as the person God created me to be. Like because it's not that it's going to be easier, but at least I'm living an authentic life. Right. I'm living based on my own words, my own values, and not the values of somebody I took on, because his values don't align with God's values. So I can't. Like I gotta choose one.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. You know, you hit. Oh man, you took me. You shook me there. You shook me there, because I think about. You know, you think about. Let's talk about that for a second. You know, you talk about movie and actors. Let's talk about the roles they put on. You know, we're in an era where everything's about superheroes, right? Mm-hmm. You ever notice how lonely the alter ego is when they're not performing as a superhero and they're just themselves?
Oh, that's good.
They're putting on this pose, and I always felt that way. I feel that way. That's me. Like, all right, this is the one and only.
Right. When you show up to save the day, it's like, I'm here and I'm saving the day.
I'm ready to set up the camera. I'm ready to set up the screen. I'm ready to set up and take pictures, and now I'm defeated.
Right. It's almost, you know what character I would, what superhero played the best role of that? Will Smith's character when he was, what was the name of the movie where he was that superhero that could fly, but he sat around and afterwards he would drink beers and he was so defeated.
Mm-hmm.
He was just like, so like, I'll save the day, but like I might accidentally drop a cow on your house because I've gotten so tired of playing this role and being this guy for everybody. And it's like, oh yeah, okay. Are you drunk while like saving a school? Yeah, man. Look, mind your business. I'm saving a school bus. Like, give me a break, man. Like, I, you don't understand how much I hate this gig now. I hate this gig. I hate this persona. I hate this guy I'm playing.
Yeah, I totally hated that guy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I even stopped the night before Indiana and Cincinnati. I was like, oh, rah, I'm gonna go do my thing, right? I'm gonna go check the town out, and I did. Yeah. It was fun, but it was lonely, because at that moment I was starting to wake up from something that I didn't understand. And, you know, I've realized that my whole life, these moments led to this outpost. And I know people are going to say, oh man, you're full of it, brother. Whatever. You're putting on something for the camera. No,
I look.
Forget
these cameras, bro, because I know what you're saying right now. I and it's funny because you're right. There are people who will try to like tell you that didn't really happen. But you're making this up. Right. But what you're telling me now aligns with everything I felt. It was like, dude, there's no way I can go back to being that again. I like stepping over that line and burying that guy that I lived out of. There's no way I would go back to him. But what it does is it puts you on a slate now where it's like, okay, so what did Juan like? How did Juan see things? Yeah. I'm now having to step away of how I looked at things previously through a lens that doesn't belong to me anymore. How am I going to look at things now? How am I going to move now? How am I going to, it's almost like you have to like unlearn a lot of the things that you previously believed you really liked.
Right.
To say, okay, God, initially, before I got all the way out here, you're going to have to remind me how you put me here.
Right.
The beautiful things about me, the intricacies about me that got on other people's nerves that I said, okay, I'll stop doing that forever. To learn who I am, who you created me to be. And as I learn who I am, I'm going to allow you to use me. I'm available now to be used by you the way you saw fit in the beginning before I took on this pose. It's just, it becomes almost like it's not only my new identity, but it's the way people are going to experience me even when they don't see the change of the name tag. Like you don't even, you're still expecting the one and only to show up.
Right.
But unfortunately, I hate to tell you, but that guy's no longer going to be doing any shows.
Bam.
He's done. But there's this great guy that God created named Juan, who is going to completely blow you guys' mind. And not because he's so great, not because he's got it all together, but because he follows a God now who's got it all together. He's already got it written out, man. This dude got my script written out. And listen to me, this script is so mind-blowing that I will never get tired of doing this script. I will never get, look, y'all don't even have to pay me for these episodes.
Right.
I'm just here to do this and to be who he called me to be. Like, it's like, yo, it's mind-blowing.
That's real good. That's real good. I couldn't have said it better myself, man. I'm so appreciative that you gave me the opportunity to open up and be real truthful and just honest, because people need to understand that there is an opportunity for transformative powers to enter your life. And I believe that. I wholeheartedly believe that.
Yeah.
And I don't see any evidence otherwise. I see that God is working through me. I saw that love instilled in me, that passion that he showed me in Indiana. And who would have known? I had to go to Indiana.
You had to go all the way to, but sometimes he takes us on a journey.
Hey, you know, I thought we met up at the mountain. No, he said that was a detour. You know, we had a new destined path. And
right.
It was so good.
Right. That's good. Shout out.
Yeah.
To my brother, Matt Gleaves.
Yeah. Yeah. Who said in so many words, well, I might have said I didn't bring a shovel, but he said, well, at least we can incinerate the past.
There it is.
So
there it is. I love that. Man, this has been awesome.
Thank you.
And it's funny because I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, I want to just tell that story about how we intersected. But no, honestly, you said it best. God has a way of sometimes showing you that even when it doesn't make sense to you, when you do things, it hits other people. So it affects some, like when he calls some of us to just go over there and tell that guy, you know, that he's loved.
And that's what you did to me.
And I did that. And it made no sense to me. And then your response was like, yo, step outside with me. It was like, oh, shoot, this guy's going to beat me up. Yo, I messed up. What did I say? Yo, Rob, just shut your mouth sometimes. See, this is the problem. You always open your mouth and you say things and you don't know how people are going to react to it. And now he wants to like take you outside and tell you, don't you ever say that again. And then we got outside and you were like,
yeah,
bro,
I'm there. I've been there. I did that. And yeah, we talked about checking out. We talked about the struggle. And that's what I knew when I knew that this was authentic. And that's what you find, you know, at these retreats. And I think God does that intentionally. Mm-hmm. So, and I believe that. And this is maybe part one of many other parts to come.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, bro, I appreciate you coming and sitting down with me. This has been awesome. I love this conversation. I love these conversations. Yeah. If nobody else likes these conversations, I love them. So guess what? I'm the biggest subscriber. But shout out to all the new subscribers. Shout out to all the people that continue to come in and just be blessed by this, man. It's an encouragement to me. It lets me know that God has definitely created a platform that allows men, women, whoever to experience the vulnerability, the behind the scenes of who sometimes we play to realize, man, okay, like, wow, so you can be vulnerable and be strong in that. And so, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you coming and sitting down with me today.
I do want to plug one thing, if that's okay.
Definitely.
So
I was about to give you the opportunity anyway, but yeah, no, that's
so actually two things. Paul McDonald's Men at the Movies. All right. You definitely want to check out that podcast.
Definitely.
All right. I just had the opportunity of doing episode 3 of Band of Brothers with him. So fantastic conversation. Looking forward to seeing that. And then also locally in Fort Mill, there's a great shop called The Print Shop. We come together the first Tuesday of every month, and it's called Pints and Padres. It's an opportunity for men to have a pint and, you know, talk about their struggles and listen to a very motivational and inspiring testimony, and then once again come together and fellowship. So again, that's the first Tuesday of every month. The next one will be this coming Tuesday, actually, the 7th.
Charlotte, North Carolina, by the way. It's Charlotte, all my, or Charlotte or surrounding listeners.
Yeah. So Fort Mill, South Carolina, to be specific, in the Charlotte greater area. And if you're in town or if you want to learn more, just give us a shout.
Awesome. And do you want to plug yourself at all? I love when people plug everybody else. That's beautiful.
I really don't. I think that I don't know. I just really appreciate being here, and this story is important for so many reasons. You know it very well, and we've shared why. But it's important for my wife. It's important for healing in my soul, and understanding that God loves me.
Yes, he does. That's beautiful. There's nothing like finally experiencing that and realizing that for yourself, no matter how many people tell you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, listen, hey, look, we got to close on a high just like that. And he didn't shout this out, but I'm going to go ahead and shout it out before we get out of here. Listen, for any men who are like, man, so what did he experience and where did he experience it at? I want you guys to check out Mission Uprising and Carolina Outpost. They are both running different. How would I put it? They are running opportunities for men to find their hearts so they can turn around and capture everybody else's heart.
Wow. Yeah. That's pretty much sums it up. I mean, if you're broken inside, then you're perfect. And if you're not broken inside, you're perfect. Because we need men from all walks of life who, unbeknownst to you may be a purpose to someone else's life.
And I'd even clear what he just said. We don't need you. We don't need you. We don't actually need you. Yeah. Let's be real.
Good. That's
we don't
good.
need you.
Yes, that's right.
But you need to find you, just like my brother found himself.
Yes.
Because the truth is that we come together regardless, but we recognize how every time I leave, I'm like, yo, I am so upset that there are so many men that are missing out on this. Like, how are they missing out on this? Like, this is literally the roadmap home.
Yeah.
And I wish everybody could find their way back home to who God created them to be, to who the man he wants them to be the man that their wives and their children need them to be. And sometimes it goes through Outposts. It goes through Mission Uprising. So check them out. Yeah. Look at the websites. Sign up for them. Go to them. If you're in the local area, go to the Carolinas. If you're up for adventure, go to Indiana if you're in the local area. But if you're closer to Indiana, go there.
Yeah.
But between Mission Uprising and Carolina Outposts, there is lives being changed through both of those organizations. And I appreciate every man that made the decision to start those, because without both of those organizations, I don't know what me and Juan's story would be. I really don't. And that's just being honest. So thank you guys for listening today. You guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the next episode. All right.
Cool.
We appreciate you listening today and hope that if you enjoyed this episode, you'll like and subscribe and also listen to past episodes. We hope to bring you great future content as well. Please comment your thoughts on this episode, as well as leave any prayer requests below so that this community can pray alongside you. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook at God's Glory and Men's Real Stories.
Brothers, we understand how the thoughts of even facing your own past and current story and the pain and hurt that come along with this is no easy task. But you're not alone, as you hear in these episodes. Nor has God forgotten you or left your side, as He's in it with you, fighting alongside you through the storms of life. He loves and has already forgiven you, no matter what you have done, and He wants a relationship with you. Your healing, freedom, and growth are important to God, and to us as well. Maybe you're considering giving up, or need someone to talk to. Here are a few resources that already exist that we hope can shine a light into that dark place you're in. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline number is 1-800-273-8255. If you need support but are not in crisis, consider reaching out to a warm line with individuals who would love to talk with you. Speaking to someone on these calls is typically free and confidential and run by people who understand what it's like to struggle in life. Find a local number by going to warmline.org.